This podcast is brought to you by Penji. Penji is a creative subscription service that gives you access to pre-vetted, agency-trained creatives from all over the world. From graphic design to illustrations to social media management and web development, it's all included for one monthly price. It's time to say goodbye to the hassle of searching for top-notch creative talent. With Penji, you get quality and consistency delivered right to your inbox every day, carefully crafted for you by humans. So meet your new creative team today. Head over to penji.co for more and enter the coupon code located within the podcast show notes.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fully Managed Podcast, the podcast where we discuss marketing and business tips to help assist you on your business journey. I'm your host, Shannon, Penji's partnership coordinator, and I'm joined here today with a very special guest, Nelson Bruton from Interchanges. Thank you so much for coming on with me today. I really appreciate it.
Hello, nice to be here.
Thank you so much for coming on with me today again. I always say thank you way too many times. I have to stop myself. Can you please tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of how you worked your way up to this point and what you're kind of doing on your day-to-day right now so the audience can be more familiar with you?
Absolutely. So Interchanges has been around over 20 years as a full service digital marketing agency, primarily focused on lead generation and the B2B space. And so you can see, manufacturing chats and the logo behind me and on the screen here. That's one of our brands where we're focused specifically in the industrial manufacturing sector, industrial companies. And so, having been in business in the digital marketing space over 20 years, we've seen the landscape evolve and change quite a bit. And so, we'll get into it in the conversation, but one of the reasons, manufacturing chats exist is because of that evolving landscape in the digital marketing arena.
Beautiful. So I know a lot of there's big agency talk about niching down, but focusing on manufacturers, one, how did you end up in that space? And then also, do you think that it was helpful to kind of narrow your focus on a certain field?
Absolutely. It wasn't helpful. It was critical. It was
Okay.
critical. And so way back, we started as a website design company
Mm.
and started building websites. And then we started having to, okay, websites aren't any good if people aren't going to them. So we started driving traffic through search engine optimization and paid Google campaigns, paid Yahoo campaigns, right? Paid search ads, and then email marketing to drive traffic. And then we started driving traffic to the websites and we said, well, hey, now we have to convert as much of that traffic as possible. And so we built out our live chat infrastructure. Okay. So live chat window pops up on a website. We'll talk more about that in more detail. But what we did is we kind of built a partner program, 19 years ago, where companies would hire us to build a website, but then do all of those ancillary services. What we now know today is a digital marketing full service agency, right? Back then, there wasn't really a thing called full service or digital marketing agency. We built the partner program, started doing very well, building up a customer base where they would put us on retainers and we would manage all those aspects to build the site, drive people to it, convert traffic, drive sales leads. And it was all about results, driving results. The more results we drove, the better our retention was, obviously. And about 8 years ago comes along the whole content, social media started to proliferate, social media marketing, content creation, video. And as we started to kind of try to manage that for our customers and try to build services around that content creation, we realized that's a whole nother arena. That's a whole subset of skills. That's a whole investment of time and effort and energy, not only on our side, but on the client side as well. So there's the whole management of that. And kind of had to take a good hard look at ourselves and decide, do we want to continue to be that full service agency, knowing that component has to be a part of it, right? Fully managed, right? If you're going to fully manage, you got to do
Get
it. So we no, we don't want to do that. So we kind of took a good hard look at ourselves and our client base and said, what is the ones, first of all, what type of customers do we like working with the most? Who are our favorites? And then what service do they have where they get the most consistent results, where they got the fastest results, where we have the highest retention, et cetera. And it all pointed to industrial companies and our live chat service. And so that's kind of the evolution in many, many words.
No, that makes a lot of sense, and it's really nice that you were able to adapt to something that you didn't wanna do. Because I feel like a lot of times people are continuously adapting to the newer things in the marketing field, and I think that it's really nice that you kind of paved the way to not do what everyone else is doing, because I feel like that's mostly everyone is constantly adjusting and adding to their agencies, I think, all the
Yeah.
time, but to be able to focus on something that doesn't have a need for that specific sector is kind of awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So we niche down. And even though, in industrial, there's so many different types of
Yeah,
industrial.
that's an incredibly large field.
Yeah. There's lots of niches within that niche. Uh, but the industrial, really B2B is the best way to say it. It's chemical companies, it's manufacturers of equipment, it's distributors of stuff, pump, pumps and trucks and you name it. So, and one of the cool parts about that and what I enjoy most, to your earlier question is, I go to all these trade shows to visit my customers and meet new customers. And it's just fascinating the manufacturing world and the industrial world of what gets made and how these companies make it and how it fits into the bigger picture of our economy. It's all fascinating to me. So I love that part of it.
They're the foundation,
Yep.
probably, like, ultimately.
Yep.
Do you think it's difficult to navigate such a large niche, quote unquote? Because you think of a niche as something that's more narrow, but that is like a very huge field. Is it ever uh, kind of taxing to adjust to each sector of that niche?
It's not adjusting to each sector, but it is difficult to try to go to market in all the different sectors. It's
Mhm.
a continuous challenge and we had success and we've tried some things and failed. Um, but we've been figuring it out pretty well over the past 8 years, but it does pose some unique challenges for real.
What do you do in those situations where you think that something's going to work and it doesn't? How do you kind of adjust and move forward from that?
Uh, You have to chalk it up as testing, right? Marketing is testing. You know what I mean?
It's a
And
gamble.
it's a gamble and there's research and there's vetting and there's things you can do to set yourself up for the best possible test, right? Um, but in the event that things don't work, take note of it. And then if you, try something else, or if you want to come back to that, make sure you do it in a different way. So marketing is testing. You always have to be learning from your wins and you always have to learn from your failures as well. So as long as you learn from the failure, there's value there.
So you talk about a lot on your website specifically about trust with your clients, which I think is a critical part of a relationship with a client for sure in every aspect of work where there's a clientele. Um, how do you personally and maybe uniquely establish and maintain trust with your clients outside of just doing good work for them?
Yeah, I mean, it's communication, right? It's communication. And then it's also, the understanding of their expectations on a continuous basis. Right. And so, for us, the results are delivered almost daily because the chats roll in, right, from their website. For us, it's maintain communication, let them know that the doors are wide open. So if they have feedback, email us, call us, our availability is 24/7. And so, we also have a sundown policy. If you reach out to us, you're going to hear back from us that day. So make sure communication is there. Make sure that the honesty is there. If we mess up and something happens, that's not ideal, we address it right away. Say, hey, sorry that happened. Won't happen again. Here's what we're doing to fix it. So treat people like you want to be treated, essentially.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate the sundown policy. I don't usually hear that, which I like a lot. I'm sure. Okay, so that actually brings up a good point. Is how do you kind of balance a whatever it takes kind of attitude with like overworking your team possibly?
It's a really good question. And I think it boils down to role clarity with the team. What is the different team members' individual roles and what are they going to be responsible for? And understanding what the client demands are so that there's good alignment there. And then we're also a lifestyle company. So we're big on that question, meaning we don't overwork. At any time, if you start to feel overworked in any particular scenario or with any particular client, you have to tell somebody, right, on your team and have a conversation about it. And we go right to work and adjusting, fixing, finding somebody else to help support that role. So it's, you know, it's your responsibility if you start to feel overwhelmed and overworked to let other people on your team know so that we can approach it as a team.
That's really incredible. I feel like there's not a lot of um institutions, for lack of better phrasing, in place in a lot of agencies and companies to be able to discuss that when it comes up. Um, so it's really nice that you have kind of that open environment to be able to navigate that, because I'm sure that there's a lot of spaces in which you just do it or you just do poor work because you're overworked and
Yep.
there's not really a communication there, or the pressure is a lot where, it doesn't feel like it's open to communication.
100%. And we learned the hard way, you know what I mean? Because we've been in those situations where, we have clients can be demanding sometimes because their business livelihood depends on what we're doing for them. And so, if they're demanding and there's a handful of clients that all of a sudden become demanding and there's a lot of work that has to get done, there's a lot of projects that have to get managed. We've been in situations in the past where we had some team members that as leaders, we weren't communicating to them. If you start to get overwhelmed, let us know. And so, it only took a couple times of that happening where we went the other way. We made it very clear and we continue to make it very clear to our team. If you get overwhelmed, it's your responsibility to tell somebody. If you don't tell somebody, that's your fault. Right.
Hmm.
And that crystal clear communication within the team environment allows for comfort and, you know, um, bravery, courage, whatever you want to call it, to go ask for help. It's okay to go ask for help if you get overwhelmed.
Yeah, no, opening that door is really helpful, and establishing that that's an option is just really, really awesome too, because I think that that clarity is enough to make someone feel more comfortable in their position. Especially, I think that it's very difficult for a lot of people to ask for help because it kind of feels like they're, not doing good enough
Hmm.
for themselves. But I don't think that's obviously always true. So it's really lovely to be able to have an environment where you feel comfortable doing that.
Absolutely. And, to our CEO's credit, Chris Patterson's our CEO. He's our founder. And, he basically tells everybody, you're the CEO of your business, quote
Mhm.
unquote. Whatever your roles and responsibilities are within the bigger operation, you know, you're the CEO of your business. So, you figure out how to inspect what you expect from the team members that you're managing. You make sure that you know how to inspect what you expect as you're assigning tasks to the client, making sure the client gets you what you need. And so he says, you're the CEO of your business. Take care of your business. Treat it like your own because it is. And that allows for him and our other leaders in our company not to have to micromanage because we're entrusting other leaders to be their own CEOs.
Yeah, no, I think that putting that responsibility on someone can maybe be a little stressful, but it's also really important for them to understand that, that's your work and you should be able
Hmm.
to be proud of it. And if you need help with it, then to be proud of it, then you can still do that.
Yeah.
And I think that, that's like kind of a good policy to have, or a good slogan, for lack of better phrasing.
Um,
Um, so, wait, so I'm curious, is so with the sundown policy, do you have people in different areas of the country or areas of the world that are able to answer questions at different times? Or do
we
you
do.
think that it's just okay, okay.
We do. But our sundown policy typically means, by, 8 p.m. Eastern.
The end of the work okay, kind of like the end of the
You know,
workday.
end of the
Okay,
week.
okay.
Yeah. So
That
if somebody reaches out to us in the morning, they're going to get a response by the end of that workday.
okay, okay. That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
I was just making sure because I was
Yeah.
just curious how it was possible. I was like, tell me if you're overworked, but you might be,
Yeah.
just I
Yeah.
guess sundown, not
24/7.
24.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for kind of okay, wait, actually, this is a perfect part because I was gonna switch topics, but now we can do the game. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So my first question, I'll do a marketing related question so that it seems like I'm not going crazy off the
Okay.
walls already. Okay. So um if you had to, and this is actually maybe related to what we were just talking about, if you had to choose, this is you have to In a scenario where you could either make a client happy or your staff happy, what would you pick?
It would depend on the client. I'll say that first and foremost, right? And certainly on the situation, but, we're always going to back our team, right? Our internal team. They have to be happy, because if they're not happy, then the other clients that we have aren't going to be happy if our
Mhm.
internal team isn't happy.
Yeah, I feel like it always comes down to, like, if you're in a situation like that and there's a choice, it's usually the team that you're gonna pick because
Yeah.
it's unlikely that depending on the situation, because of course, like, if you're working with an incredibly large company or business, it's crucial that you do well with them, even if it's very difficult and stressful on a team. Then okay, yes, maybe the team might not be like the happiest, but
Yep.
it's also like maybe it's just a stressful situation and that's normal. But I think a lot of times in a situation where there's an option of one or the other, it's usually the clients probably maybe not being the easiest to deal with.
Yep.
And sometimes you have to please them because they're a really big client and they're important. But in the other situations, I feel like it's like maybe this isn't good a relationship. You can go with someone else or, respect
And on that
the larger.
topic, one of the things we learned over the agency years is, be selective of who you work with, right? We always used to say we want clients that look at us as a partner. Don't treat us as a vendor. Treat us as a partner in your business, right? And so we threw around the term for some clients where, hey, they have vendor mentality. You know, we're gonna serve them, but if something happened and we lost them, we wouldn't be upset because they treat us like a vendor. So, you know, a ideal world, you want to have relationships. To your point earlier, you want to have good vibes with the people that you're helping out, right? Those businesses. So, you want to be friends with them.
Yeah, I feel like some of the best agencies that do some of the best work is acting as an extension of another business. Like we are even though you're using our services and we are a separate entity from you, it's we work together as if we're one thing
Yeah,
because that's especially if you're a full service marketing agency, you're doing a lot for them. Like where it's like if it was a bigger company, maybe they would just have a team like yours inside of their company, but they're
yeah,
not. So that choice should be able to be more, uh, like, intertwined
yeah,
than just, "Okay, I'm hiring this person," and it's like, it's not a person, that was
yeah,
multiple people, it's like a whole business that you can talk to like that, as
yeah.
long as that's the kind of relationship I think that's the ideal relationship for a client.
It really is. It really is. And the more you do, the more you do for a client as an agency, the higher that expectation is that they're going to treat you like a partner, right? And we've had clients where we were doing so much for them. The results, the numbers were off the charts. The revenue we were helping them produce was just incredible, and they just treated us like a vendor. So we were excited about working with them. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So what's interesting is as we've moved and shifted to really focusing on the chat as a solution, we've been able to really approach it in a different way where they typically have an agency they work with already, a marketing agency they work with. So we don't get the warm and fuzzies and part of their team anymore. But we play a very specific role, and we play it very, very, very well, you know,
How does the chat fix that problem specifically?
because it's pretty simple concept, and the measures of success are so apparent. For example, um, you know, if they have a chat bot on their website, AI, or if they don't have chat on their website, if they do, we offer a month-long free trial, so a 30-day free trial.
Mhm.
That way we put our money where our mouth is, show them the results that they can compare actual data set for an entire month with our solution compared to what they had, whether it was no chat or some AI chatbot. And when they see the increase in chat conversations and they don't have a chat. Obviously, there's a massive increase in chat conversations. If they have a bot, they see a pretty significant increase in chat conversations and quality of engagements with their visitors. So literally within the first week, because the chats start rolling in as soon as we put ours on, the difference is easily observable. So there's no gray area. It's, hey, we see what we had, we can see what's happening now. And so it makes it really easy for them to observe the value.
Okay, that's actually extremely helpful. I think that, yeah, a constant communication can always solve a lot more problems than I think people
Mhm.
realize. Um, to be able to, actually, that brings up another question. Sorry, my brain sometimes is going in circles. uh, are you easily accessible for a client, you specifically? Because I know that there's a lot of, bigger companies. A lot of times it's difficult to reach people at the top. And I was just wondering if that was something that you offer, perhaps.
For my email and cell phone, call me, email me anytime. I'm absolutely
Awesome.
accessible. Yep.
Okay, I respect that. Not that if you said no, I wouldn't be like, "Wow, you're a
Yeah.
bad person."
Yes. No, as we grow and scale, will that always be the case? I can't promise it, but we certainly pride ourselves on that availability, right? And we have a team structure set up too. Like for example, if somebody needs to give us feedback, we have everything built and tied into Slack. So if they email a certain email address that we give them for feedback for the chats that are being sent over to them, they email that. It hits me, it hits two other my chat managers, and gets put into the Slack for our chat operations team. So the communication is immediate across our entire organization. But me and our other leaders have visibility on all those communications. And if it requires us to jump in, we're going to. And our customers appreciate that.
Yeah, it's good to be able to also stay on top of those things. Like because you have access to seeing them
Yeah.
regularly, like you can delegate over whether that's something that it's worth
Yeah.
for you to talk to or that
Correct.
someone else can handle it.
I'll give you a real world example. So sometimes on new customers, especially, I'll get copied on their sales chats. So when a chat finishes on a website, we email the chat transcript within about 5 to 10 minutes to their teams. And they just there's multiple distributions that they set up for the different type of chat inquiries. But sometimes I'll see and they come from chats at interchanges.com is the email. And sometimes people will reply to the person in the chat they won't hit reply all, they'll just hit reply and it just comes back to chats at interchanges.
Mhm.
I see their reply. They're trying to actually connect and reply to the person that was in the chat. And I have to email and I'll email them back right away and say, "Hey, I think you were trying to reach out to John Smith at this company. Here's the address he provided in the chat." And I'll
Mhm.
let them know. And they're like, "Oh, thanks. You're right."
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome. That's also I think that adds a level of personability too, because, it's kinda nice for the president reaches out to you to say, "Hey, you messed up a little
Yep.
bit."
Yep. Yep.
But
You
there
might
you
not want to miss
go.
out on this opportunity, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So,
that provides, people are happy to hear that.
yep. And to my point earlier about when we niche down on our service, we pride ourselves on being able to have our eyes on all the accounts and the results in a really, really high value way.
That's really good. Yeah, I think that that is a lot of what normally people talk about when they talk about niching down, is that it's helpful to kind of see every step of this process more than you would if you had a really wide range
Mhm.
of scope. I think that, yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I stand yet because a lot of people really are very passionate about niching down or definitely not doing it. And I'd really like to talk about it because it's nice to get everyone's opinions. But I think
Sure.
that there's a lot of things that are stated on a regular basis that I think is familiar
Mhm.
to people that do or don't.
I am a believer in niche in the niches there's riches, right? So niching down certainly has its place if you can carve out a niche because it really makes everything easier. Your marketing, your ads, if you can really focus on a niche, you have a chance to scale. And then there's opportunities we're exploring for that as well. So
I'm writing down this quote.
Yep.
I was like, I kind of love that.
which one? And which one?
What in the niches, there's riches.
Yeah, and that is not my quote. I heard it from somebody years ago. So,
Well, hopefully we're not stealing from
yeah,
hopefully they don't have it like
yeah,
patented.
yeah.
Maybe yeah, okay. Well, maybe I'll say editors don't put that as the title because we might be sued.
Yeah.
So, okay, so the game. We're back to the game. I'm gonna
Yeah.
ask you an absurd question next because
Okay.
that'll keep you on your toes. Get out of your marketing brain. Okay, how many eggs do you think that you could eat in a day?
How many eggs could I eat in a day?
Mhm. They can be any style. They just have to be eaten in a waking day, I suppose. So like 24 hours.
12 to 15.
Okay, that's normal. Some people say absurd things.
Yeah.
I ask this question a lot just because I don't know. I don't know why I ask this question a
Yeah.
lot. It's just something that it's popped
Probably
into my
15, I
brain.
think. I love egg. So,
I love eggs. 12 to 15 is a normal answer though. I've told
yeah,
people have told me 8 dozen.
that's too
8
many.
dozen. I think they die. I think they
Yeah.
die on the spot from
Yeah.
like high cholesterol. I
You
don't
must
think it's
really
just
love eggs.
it's a lot of eggs.
Yep.
Okay, would you rather get $1 every time you complimented a stranger or $100 every time you insulted a stranger?
Oh, dollar every time for compliments for sure.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm waiting for someone to say the $100 to insult. Because I like,
I don't, I don't insult
oh,
people. I operate, try to operate on high vibes.
yeah, no, I agree. I don't think I could insult someone. If I knew that I was getting $100, I think I'd feel worse about
Yeah.
insulting someone
Yeah.
because I'd be like,
No
oh my
doubt.
God, I was rewarded for this. It's horrible. Okay, we have another marketing question. I guess this is marketing-ish. LinkedIn or email outreach for leads. What do you think is more valuable or I guess more fruitful?
Oh, gosh. I prefer LinkedIn. Um, we've had more success with email.
Mm.
So that's a tough one. I do both. I use both, and in fact, I call, I text, I do outreach, I'm professionally persistent. If I have done my research and there's a company I know I can help, I will continue to reach out to them forever and ever and ever. In fact, my record is a company that I reached out to for 11 years and they finally took me up on my free trial this last November. They finally took me up on my free trial and they're a customer.
Congratulations. Oh, that's incredible. My boss is, I maybe I shouldn't reveal this. I don't know what if it happens. But I don't think he'll care. My boss has been trying to talk to get in with UPS. He
Yeah.
wants to get in with UPS so badly. He's like, we can design something for you. Let us design something for you. And he talks to like, I don't even know, every day.
Yeah.
I think
Don't
I
give
know.
up. It'll
Yeah.
happen. It'll
That's kind
happen.
of incredible. I'm gonna tell him that. I think
Yep.
that'll make him happy.
Right. So it's not email or LinkedIn. It's yes, 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 yes. Keep reaching
Everywhere.
out. If you believe you can add value to somebody, just keep reaching out. And eventually they'll either be like, leave me alone. Don't ever reach out to me again.
Please
Or
stop.
yeah, please stop. Training order. Or they'll give in and say, hey, you know what? You've been persistent. Let's do it. Let's try something.
I
So
am not I can't say maybe this is not a good thing, but I feel bad when people reach out like an incredible amount, but I can't be like, please stop because I feel really bad about it. So I just kind of like let them do it.
mhm.
Which it's maybe not like I think a lot of people do that, which is not great because you don't get a set answer. But I also like I can't tell someone, yeah, what if
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know, I feel
Not
bad.
interested. Not interested. And
Yeah,
I
like
get cold called all the time and I get emailed all the time and I'll respond to some people and I'll say not interested to others. That's just part of life. It's part of the gig, you know, part of the
yeah, no.
sales hustle.
It's surprising. Finding out recently, I had a podcast guest on that actually does cold calls, like not even just like cold calling as a broader category, which like
Mhm.
can be cold emailing, cold whatever, but like physical calls to people. And I'm like, how do you get them to respond to you? I don't even open a call from someone that I don't know, and I'm like,
That's
but he says it's pretty successful.
probably where I get the most success myself is
That's
making
so
phone calls.
interesting.
Now, a lot of times they'll have seen my emails and seen my LinkedIn messages. And my follow-up approach, by the way, um, I go by a system called VBRs, val- valid business reasons.
Mhm.
So when I reach out to somebody, I try to include a valid business reason. Like here's an article I saw about your industry, or here's a referral I can make for you because I think you also work with these companies. Here's somebody who might be a good customer for you. Send them a gift. Give them compliments about something you read about them online. So give them a valid business reason. And if you can inject those valid business reasons in your follow up, you're not a consistent, annoying, hey, following up again. Hey, never use the words follow up in your email outreach or LinkedIn outreach. Hey, I'm following up. Following up is a point use. So, hey, I wanted to share something with you. Hey, I thought you might be interested in. Right. So language controls the discussion and the discussion controls the relationship. And so that language is key for following up effectively.
I definitely agree. I think that I think being forthright with talking about your services is the worst thing to do as well. I no one wants to hear about you if you're contacting them to get something from them. I think that it's definitely helpful to add value to them by not talking about your business,
Yep.
or say offer something that you can do for them. That's not just a general thing, like something that's specific. I think
Yep.
is really helpful, because without insulting them, because of
Sure.
course you can't be like, we design websites. I can't go up to someone and be like, your website's really bad.
Yep.
We could make it better for you. If you
Now,
just, pay for it.
to that point though, as a part of my process, if I've done the research, I have a tool where I can tell how many visitors are going to their website each month. And if they don't have a chat on their website, I know from 20 years of our customer performance data, almost to a T, how much opportunity they're missing out on.
Mhm.
And so I will put that in email. Say, hey, I've done my research. Here's how many visitors you get on average. 20 years of my customer data. Here's about how much opportunity you're missing out on. If you'd like to explore free tests to see what kind of impact that would have, let me know. So I do reach out very specifically about the service with our free test offer, and with research. And I think, if they see that you've spent some time researching their company and you're not just on their list as
Mhm.
the next person on their list, a lot of times they appreciate that as well.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing to point out that something could be better. I think that's just a way of doing it.
Sure.
I think that some people don't do it tastefully.
Yeah.
For what I'm guessing, and
Yep.
what's gonna help you out that's just gonna offend someone?
Yep.
There's certain things that you just shouldn't bring up. Like, I am never gonna tell someone that their website is bad,
Yeah.
because they could have put a lot of time and effort in that, and I would have
Well,
no idea when they could have put no effort into it, and they actually really do need our services, and they'd be happy to hear that I told them it's crap. But I would never do that, because that is horrible. And
yeah,
have better people skills than that.
absolutely.
But yeah, that is I think that there's just a way of talking to people, and fine tuning that for outreach is something that is incredibly important and
Yep.
valuable.
Agreed.
Well, this is actually all the time we have today. I'm sorry to cut it short, but I feel like this was a very
Yeah.
awesome
Good conversation.
Yeah, I really appreciate this. And I think I'll say it every podcast, and I hope I never stop saying it, is that I really learned a lot today. So thank you
Awesome.
so much for,
Absolutely.
you know, contributing to the conversation.
Love it, Shannon. Thank you so much for having me. Have an amazing, amazing day.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for everyone that has been watching or listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to hear more stories like this. Appreciate it. Have a lovely day.
You've been listening to Fully Managed, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest, and to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend, and of course, subscribe.